System. Objective: to learn about the central nervous system. The nervous system is responsible for sending, receiving, and interpreting information from all parts of the body. It responds to external stimuli and also monitors and coordinates the functions of internal organs. The central nervous system is composed of the brain and spinal cord. Both are enclosed in protective layers called meninges. The outer layer is called the dura mater. The middle layer is called the arachnoid mater, and the inner layer is called the pia mater. The subarachnoid space, or the space between the arachnoid and the pia mater, is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. The brain. The brain is located in the cranium of the skull. It is made of three main parts: the cerebrum, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain and is divided into left and right hemispheres. Each is composed of a frontal, temporal, parietal, and occipital lobe. The two hemispheres are connected by a nerve tract called the corpus callosum. The surface of the cerebral hemisphere is folded, which increases the surface area. The cerebrum is concerned with learning, memory, interpretation, and personality. The cerebellum is located in the back of the brain, just below the cerebrum. It controls balance, movement, and coordination. The brainstem is located beneath the cerebrum and in front of the cerebellum. It connects the brain with the spinal cord and is composed of the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. The brainstem controls a number of autonomic functions, including respiration and blood pressure. The spinal cord. The spinal cord extends from the medulla oblongata and down the back. It is protected by the vertebral column. The spinal cord is a hollow tube containing cerebrospinal fluid. 31 pairs of spinal nerves arise from the spinal cord. These nerves transmit information from body organs to the brain and from the brain to the organs. Summary. The brain and the spinal cord comprise of the central nervous system. The brain is located in the cranium. The spinal cord is located in the vertebral column.
So, fellow student, very good morning to everyone. So, we have started with Unit 1, and in the last lecture we have finished Chapter 1, that is 1.2, Now we are going to start new chapter in unit 1, that is 1.3, chapter 1.3, pharmacodynamic agents. So what is pharmacodynamic agents, or what are pharmacodynamic agents? So definition of pharmacodynamic agent is: the pharmacodynamic agents are the drugs used for or used to correct the disorder in the physiological functions and restore them to normal functions. That is called as pharmacodynamic agent. These are the drugs which is used to correct the disorder in the physiological function and restore them to normal function. So the disorder may be blood pressure, blood sugar, body temperature, or electrolytes. So these are the drugs which convert this disorder into normal functions. So thus this pharmacodynamic agent bring relief from the symptoms of discomfort by either stimulating or depressing the physiological function. So the function of this pharmacodynamic agent is either it gives relief from that discomfort by either stimulating or depressing the physiological function. It can depress or it can stimulate the physiological function which are abnormal. So they are used to restore the function such as blood pressure, blood sugar, body temperature, and electrolytes. So this already we are already this is the one class of pharmacodynamic agent. You know that the drug has been classified into 4 types, that is pharmacodynamic agent, chemotherapeutics, hormones, and vitamins. So this is the first class of that, and we had also learned the classification of that drugs. So the central nervous system drugs. So this CNS drugs, it comes under pharmacodynamic agent because it gives because this drugs, this central nervous system drugs are used to correct the disorder in the physiological function and restore them to normal function or normal condition. So whatever the disorder or discomfort is there in CNS, and the drug which used to or the drugs which acts on the CNS are known as CNS drugs. So central nervous system drugs. So these are the drugs which acts on CNS. CNS means central nervous system. So the drugs which act on CNS are known as central nervous system drugs. So anatomically, the nervous system is made up of central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, consisting of somatic and autonomic nerve fiber. So the central nervous system is made up of your central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. So anatomically, your nervous system is made up of central nervous system and peripheral nervous system that consist of somatic and autonomic nerve fiber. The central nervous system consists of cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla, and spinal cord. So this central nervous system is made up of cerebellum, cerebrum, medulla, and spinal cord. Functionally, the CNS consists of billions of neurons organized to form a several neural system with nuclei and their tracts. Each is concerned with certain specific function as a motor activity, perception, and regulation of various body functions. These systems are essentially interdependent, and disturbances in any of these produce any of this produce disorder in the system as well, or replication in other system. So this regression means result. And the next point is classification of CNS drugs. So this CNS drugs, central nervous system drugs, based on the pharmacological activity, the CNS drug has been classified into 3 types. So based on the pharmacological activity, the CNS drug has been classified into 3 types: CNS depressant, CNS stimulant, and CNS modifier, in bracket tranquilizers. So based on the pharmacological activity, the CNS drug has been classified into 3 types: CNS depressant, CNS stimulant, and CNS modifier. So we'll see this CNS depressant. So CNS depressant means these are the drugs which have a depressant action on the CNS as its principal pharmacological action. That drugs are known as CNS depressant. So CNS depressant, these are the drugs which having depressant action on the CNS as its principal pharmacological action are known as depressant, or that is called as CNS depressant. And again it is classified into 2 types. The CNS depressant classified into 2 types: non-selective CNS depressant and selective CNS depressant. Non-selective, central nervous system depressant, and selective nervous system depressant. So we'll see this non-selective CNS depressant. What are these non-selective CNS depressant? So these are the drugs which produce generalized depression action on the central nervous system. So name itself suggests that these are the drugs which produce generalized depression action on the central nervous system. That drug is called as non-selective CNS depressant because it having generalized action on your central nervous system, and they includes hypnotic and sedatives, general anesthetics, and your central muscle relaxant. So these are the drugs which having generalized action on your central nervous system. That's why this drug is called as your hypnotic, sedatives, general anesthetics, and your central muscle relaxant. These are the drugs which having generalized depression action on the CNS. That's what is called as non-selective CNS depressant. Then the next type is selective CNS depressant. So we will see what is this, or what is meant by selective CNS depressant. So those drugs which selectively depress certain region or portion of the CNS are known as selective CNS depressant. So that those drugs which having, or which has those drugs which selectively depress certain region or portion of the central nervous system. So the regions may be your cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla, or spinal cord. So these are the drugs which selectively depress certain region or portion of the CNS. That drug is called as selective CNS depressant. So this drug having selective action. So it includes this your tranquilizers, then analgesics, and anticonvulsant. So these are the drugs which having selective action on your central nervous system, or which can depress selectively certain portion or region of your central nervous system. These are tranquilizers, analgesic, and antidepressant. So CNS depressant having it is classified into 2 types. CNS depressant means these are the drugs which have depression action on the CNS as its principal pharmacological action are known as central nervous system drugs, central nervous system depressant, and there are two types, that is non-selective CNS depressant and selective CNS depressant. So non-selective CNS depressant means these are the drugs which produce generalized depression action on the central nervous system, that is called as non-selective CNS depressant, and it includes hypnotic and sedatives, general anesthetics, central muscle relaxant. Then the next class is your selective CNS depressant. So those drugs which selectively depress certain region or portion of CNS are known as selective CNS depressant, and it includes tranquilizers, analgesics, and anticonvulsant. This drug uh, selectively depress certain region or portion of the body. That's what is called as selective CNS depressant. Then the next second type is, or the second type is CNS stimulants. So we'll see in detail what is CNS stimulants. So the drugs which stimulate or and reactivate, the drug which stimulate and reactivate the central nervous system are known as CNS stimulant or antidepressant. It is also called as antidepressant. The drug which stimulate and reactivate the central nervous system are known as CNS stimulant or antidepressant. The CNS stimulants are used for variety of purposes such as treatment of depressive state, maintenance of wakefulness, restoration of respiratory and blood pressure, and restoration of normal reflexes. So this CNS stimulant are used for variety of purposes such as treatment of depressive state, then maintenance of wakefulness, restorative restoration of respiration, and restoration of blood pressure, and restoration of normal reflexes. So the CNS stimulants are broadly classified into four types, following four types. So these are the four types of CNS stimulants. So CNS stimulants means the drug which stimulate and reactivate the central nervous system are known as central nervous system stimulant or central nervous system drugs. Central nervous system stimulant drugs. So it broadly classified into four types. That is central stimulant. So it is a cerebral stimulant, then respiratory stimulant, then analeptic stimulant, analeptic restorative, in bracket restorative, then psychomotor stimulant. So these are the four classes of that: CNS stimulant, cerebral stimulant, respiratory stimulant, analeptic in bracket restorative, and psychomotor stimulant. So this analepsis is a Greek word. This analepsis is a Greek word that means picking up of those who have been cast down. So this analepsis is the Greek word which means picking up of those who have been cast down. Hence, analeptic are the drugs which stimulate the CNS, including respiratory centers, depressed by narcotics. Hence, these drugs have wide range of application, because this analeptic are the drugs which stimulate the CNS, including the respiratory center depressed by narcotics. The system or the respiratory system which is depressed by narcotics, that can also be treated by this your analeptic or restorative. So hence this analeptic restorative drug have been wide range of application or wide range of action. This is about second class, that is CNS stimulants. So the drug which stimulate and reactivate CNS are known as CNS stimulant or antidepressant. The CNS stimulants are used for a variety of purposes such as treatment of depressive state, maintenance of wakefulness, restoration of respiration and blood pressure, and restoration of normal reflexes. So again, these CNS stimulants have been classified into four types, that is cerebral stimulants, respiratory stimulants, analeptic, restorative, and psychomotor stimulant. Then last one is your CNS modifier, in bracket tranquilizer. So this is the third class, CNS modifier, tranquilizers. So these are the drugs employed in the treatment of mental disorder. So CNS modifier, these are the drugs which have been employed in the treatment of mental disorder. They produce specific improvement in the mood and behavior of the patient. So it produces specific improvement in the mood and behavior of the patient, and they also decreases the psychomotor activity without causing sedation, and hence they are also known as psycholeptics. Hence they are called as psycholeptics, because it also decreases psychomotor activity without causing sedation, and hence they are also called as psycholeptic. So a tranquilizer should have following characteristics. So CNS modifier, in bracket the tranquilizer, have following characteristics. So tranquilizer drug should have following characteristics. So the first one is uh, it should not have a toxic effect. Your CNS modifier tranquilizer should not have a toxic effect on the patient. So this is the first and most important characteristics. It should not have a toxic effect. Then second one is it should not produce other undesirable side effect. Second one is it should not produce other undesirable side effect. Then third one is it should have calming effect without causing sedation. It should have calming effect without causing sedation. It should not cause the sedation, and it should also have your calming effect on the patient, and it should not produce any undesirable side effect. It should not have any toxic effect, and the last important characteristic is it should not result in unconsciousness. It should not result in unconsciousness. So your tranquilizer drug should not result in unconsciousness. So this tranquilizer, again, it classified into two types, that is major tranquilizers, in bracket it is also called as antipsychotics, major tranquilizer and minor tranquilizer. So we'll see this one, that is a major tranquilizers. So they are used to reduce the agitation and disturbed behavior which are associated with delusion and hallucination in schizophrenia. An example of this tranquilizer, reserpine, is an alkaloid obtained from plant Rosso Rolofrenia. So the name of that plant is Rolfia serpentina. Rolfia serpentina, it is the name of that plant. Rolfia serpentia. Rolfia serpentina. This is the, it is name is actually difficult. Or Rolfia serpentina, which has been used for a long time in the treatment of serious mental disorder. So this uh, so this reserpine obtained from this plant, the name of that plant is Rolfia serpentina, and which has been used for a long time in treatment of serious mental disorder. Now synthetic derivative of phenothiazine, hyoscyamine, and indole, betterphenone, butorphanol are used. So now these synthetic drugs such as synthetic derivative, that is phenothiazine, thioxanthine, indole, butorphanol also comes under this major tranquilizers, and second one is minor tranquilizers. So these minor tranquilizers, these are anti-anxiety agents. So these are the anti-anxiety agents which having or which have calming effect in a patient, which having calming effect in a patient in anxiety state associated with neurotic personality, associated with neurotic personality. They are further classified as a muscle relaxant and attractive, which causes the mind become cool, calm, and collected. So this is the classification of CNS. It classified into three types: CNS depressant, CNS stimulant, and CNS modifiers. So this CNS depressant classified into two types: CNS non-selective CNS depressant and selective CNS depressant. So non-selective CNS depressant again it includes this hypnotic and sedatives, general anesthetics, and central muscle relaxant. Then this selective CNS depressant include your tranquilizers, then analgesics, then your anticonvulsant, and second class is your CNS stimulants. So this CNS stimulant includes classified into three types, that is cerebral stimulant, respiratory stimulant, analeptic restorative, psychomotor stimulant, and last one is your CNS modifiers, tranquilizers. It's classified into two types, that is major and minor tranquilizers. Then the next one more important point is concept of hypnosis, sedation, and anesthesia. Concept of hypnosis, sedation, and anesthesia. So the sedation and hypnosis. This sedation and hypnosis, these are closely related terms. Hypnosis and sedation, these are closely related terms, which means different extent to which CNS is depressed. So this sedation and hypnosis are closely related terms, which means different extent to which CNS is depressed. A hypnotic is a drug which produces sleep resemble to natural sleep. The hypnotic is a drug which produces sleep that is resemble or same to natural sleep, while sedative is a drug which produces mild depression. It produces mild depression, calm anxiety without causing drowsiness or impaired performance. So a sedative is a drug which produces mild depression, calm anxiety without causing drowsiness or impaired performance, while hypnotic is a drug which produces sleep that is resemble or same to natural sleep. This hypnotic and sedative differ in their action quantitatively. Hypnotic and sedative, these are the drugs which differ in their action quantitatively. A sedative is a drug when given in a large dosage. A sedative is a drug when given in a large dosage, that is called as hypnotic. Similarly, hypnotic, when this hypnotic drug given in a small dosage, when hypnotic drug given in a small dosage, it acts as a sedative. So hypnotic and sedative differ in their action quantitatively. A sedative when given in a large dosage acts as a hypnotic. Similarly, a hypnotic when given in a small dosage, it acts as a sedative. So further it is observed that increasing amount of dosage lead to anesthesia. And finally coma. However, if depression reaches the medulla region, However, if the depression reaches the medulla region, then it causes death. Then it causes death. So the patient will die if the depression reaches the medulla region. So these hypnotic and sedatives are differ in their action quantitatively. A sedative is a drug when given in a large dosage, it acts as a hypnotic, and hypnotic is a drug when it is given in a small dosage, it acts as a sedative. Further, it is observed that increasing amount of dosage, when you're going to increase in amount of dosage, it leads to anesthesia. These all are interconvertible. So when you're going to increase the amount of dosage, it convert to anesthesia, it leads to anesthesia, and then finally coma. Then the patient will go into the state coma. And however if the depression if the depression reaches the medulla region of your brain, if the depression reaches the medulla region, then it causes death. The patient will die. The effect of increasing order, the effect of increasing order can be represented by this is the effect when you're going to increase the dosage form. So it will so first one dosage, then you increase the first one is sedation. When you're going to increase, the person will go into the state hypnosis. Then you are going to increase the dosage, then anesthesia, then again, yeah, then if you are going to again increase the dosage, it will lead to coma. Then if the depression reaches the medulla region, then the person will die. The patient will die. So this is the effect of increasing order of depression. So it is represented in this way. So the hypnotic and sedatives are mainly used for treatment of insomnia. So the insomnia means loss of sleep. So these hypnotic and sedatives drugs are used for the treatment of insomnia. Then the next point that is very important, that is an ideal and an ideal hypnotic and sedative drug. That will see the characteristics of ideal hypnotic and sedative drug. So the first characteristic is the administration should be easy and oral. So this hypnotic and sedative drug should be administered by oral route of administration, and it should be easy. Then second one is the action should be rapid on administration. So both these hypnotic and sedative drugs, the action should be rapid on administration. Then the next point is tolerance should not be developed on prolonged use. So tolerance should not be developed by your body against these hypnotic and sedatives, and that hypnotic and sedative drugs should not be habit forming. These are the ideal characteristics of hypnotic and sedative drugs. The first one is the administration should be easy and oral. The second one is the action should be rapid on administration. And third one is tolerance should not be developed on prolonged use. Then should not be habit forming. So these are the ideal characteristics of hypnotic and sedative drugs. These are the characteristics. An ideal hypnotic and sedative should possess the following characteristics: the administration should be easy and oral, the action should be rapid on administration, tolerance should not develop on prolonged use, it should not be habit forming. So these are the ideal hypnotic and sedative drug should possess these characteristics. Then anesthesia. What is anesthesia? So it is a state of insensibility that is called as anesthesia, or in general, the general anesthetics are depressant drugs. That that produces partial or total loss of sense. That produces partial or a total loss of sense of pain, which may be accompanied by loss of consciousness. So general anesthetics are the depression drugs that produces partial or total loss of sense of pain, which may be accompanied by loss of consciousness. And so this state of insensibility, so this state of loss of pain, so this state of insensibility is known as anesthesia. The state of insensibility is known as anesthesia. So this anesthesia may also be defined as absolute loss of sensation. It is also defined as absolute loss of sensation, because in anesthesia we are losing our sensation, and it is derived from Greek word. It is derived from Greek word which means lack of feeling. This anesthesia word is derived from Greek word which means lack of feeling. The lack of feeling. The next point is types of anesthesia according to Guidel. So this is the name of scientist. According to Guidel, anesthesia occurs in 4 stages. So anesthesia occurs in 4 stages. That is stage 1 analgesia, stage 2 delirium or excitement, stage 3 surgical anesthesia, then stage 4 respiratory paralysis or medullary paralysis. So these are the 4 types of anesthesia: stage 1 analgesia, stage 2 delirium or excitement, then stage 3 surgical anesthesia, stage 4 respiratory paralysis or medullary paralysis. So we'll see one by one. So the first one is stage 1 analgesia. It is accompanied by mild depression. It is accompanied by mild depression of higher cortical center. This stage is suitable for surgical procedure not requiring extensive muscular relaxation. So it is accompanied by mild depression of higher cortical center. This stage is suitable for surgical procedures not requiring intensive muscular relaxation. And second one, stage 2 delirium or excitement. The patient lose consciousness. So here in the second one, the patient lose consciousness as a result of depression. So due to depression, the patient lose consciousness of cortical motor center, resulting in possible extensive involuntary activity. The patient lose consciousness as a result of depression of cortical motor center, resulting in possible extensive involuntary activity. This is about excitement or delirium, stage 2. Then third one is your surgical anesthesia. So during surgical procedure, there is a progressive increasing depth of anesthesia in the following order: loss of spinal reflexes, decreased muscle reflexes, paralysis of intercostal muscle, and finally disappearance of muscle tone. So during stage 3 surgical anesthesia, so during surgical procedure, there is a progressive increasing depth of anesthesia in the following order. The order is: first is loss of spinal reflexes, decreased muscle reflexes, paralysis of intercostal muscle, and finally disappearance of muscle tone. This is about third stage surgical anesthesia. Then the fourth one is respiratory paralysis or medullary paralysis. More correctly, it is referred to as a toxic or overdose stage involving respiratory and vasomotor cessation. So this means that more correctly it is referred to as a toxic or overdose stage involving respiratory and vasomotor cessation. This is the stage when surgical operation is carried out. So in this stage 4, after giving anesthetic drugs. So here we are giving overdose. So during this stage, third stage, the doctors are doing the surgical operation in this stage. So this is all about anesthesia. So thank you.